Charlie, you saw 50 Shades Darker, and I ended up having to see A Cure for Wellness because apparently... what was the movie called?
The Space Between Us.
Apparently, The Space Between Us is already out of theaters by the time I tried to see it. But yeah, so we
maybe we'll get a surviving Christmas. I don't know.
We're not very good at this.
No, it's not our fault that movie was so bad that it
was
exited.
out for like 3 weeks.
That's a really short amount of time.
It's insanely short. Anyway, we're gonna try to make Steve think these movies are good. Here are arguments on the other end.
Are you ready for Movie Versus? Welcome to Movie Versus, the podcast where we pin 2 terrible movies in an all-out battle for the best of the worst. Here are your hosts, Tyler Lamb, Charlie Pixley, and Steve Shannon. All on Movie Versus.
Hey everybody, my name is Tyler Lamb, and this is Movie Versus, the podcast in defense of bad movies. This is episode 24, is what I've been told.
Real close to going all the way around.
And that is the voice of my co-host, Steve Janik. Steve, how's it going?
It's going pretty good. Going pretty good.
That's good to hear. And then also back on at the Battlegrounds is Charlie Pixley via Skype.
Battlegrounds, Ground Zero, whatever.
What's up, Chuck?
I prefer to call it Mecca, but it's all right. I want to come back.
You already want to come back.
Already? It's day one.
Fair enough, but you have to do your time. Let's just we sent you out there for a reason. You need to do your time.
Okay. There's only like a month left.
Well, hey, you can do it. You've made it this far. And I was supposed to see The Space Between Us.
Yeah, tell us how that went.
well, we recorded the great thing about podcasts is you don't do it live. So we recorded that episode about 5 or 6 days early. And because I was going on vacation, so fuck me. I went on vacation and didn't see the movie and came back and saw that it was not in theaters anymore.
It actually,
choice, dude.
The last day it was in theaters was the day the episode released.
Correct.
So that it came out that morning, and by midnight, then that movie was no longer in theaters.
That's a huge window,
you had a svelte 12 hours.
I did nothing. No, wait. I went to Disney World, and there is a like downtown area in Disney World, and there was an AMC, and I did kind of look at it, and I was just like, should I?
Should I go see it? Nah, I'll still be there.
It's like, wait, I'm on vacation. Who goes to the movies on vacation?
I went to the movies on vacation.
I mean, I would if it was like if I went to like California or something like that, where I used to work at an AMC that was a IMAX.
Right.
I would go to see that. Like, I'd be like, oh, because where we're at in St. Louis, there's no legitimate IMAX theater. So
well, there is one, but it's not a theater. It's only the Science Center, and they play like
OmniMax.
But they play real select.
And that's
theaters.
OmniMax. That's all. That's different than IMAX.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So
I just kind of use those interchangeably.
Dome.
Yeah. It's more of a dome.
But I've always used those pretty much interchangeably.
And so like that's something I would use an excuse to be like, oh, and only if it's like a movie where like if I was in
BVS
in an area, BVS, Star Wars,
right.
Something like that. Where it's
I
like,
saw Star Wars in the OmniMax.
This
Freddie
is
got fingered.
Yeah, Freddie got fingered. Boy Next Door, Steve. You would love to see that in IMAX.
You act like I haven't.
I mean, you probably
converted into it. He
converted
it himself.
I mean, you probably went to the Science Center here in St. Louis and paid them money to convert it to the OmniMax so that you yourself could have a personal viewing of.
Oddly enough, they did not charge me. They were like, "No, this needs to be." No, the guys
had H35 cell converted to 70.
Those guys knew how important it was that it had to happen, and they were just like, "No, we'll on the house." Sir.
They've also seen the film, so they were like, "Yes, I didn't know I wanted this until you questioned it." And this far into the podcast, this podcast is about us watching movies. And then us watching movies that are
good ones.
Yeah, us that are watching we watch movies that are critically panned, and we tried to convince another person that our movies are better. So Charlie saw 50 Shades Darker. I saw A Cure for Wellness, 2 separate movies, both under 60% on Rotten Tomatoes. That's our threshold cutoff point. And this week, us two are convincing Steve. We rotate every week. But yeah, so we're convincing Steve that we figured, Steve and I talked about it, we figured A Cure for Wellness is still, 50 Shades Darker seemed kind of like a thriller to an extent, like a sex thriller.
For a moment.
And A Cure for Wellness is also like some type of thriller, so we figured those were more comparable than like a 50 Shades Darker versus Fist Fight.
Well, can I clear something up, though? Every thriller for me is a sex thriller.
Well,
it is in Mississippi.
And it doesn't help that you're just...
Yeah, Resident Evil's a sex thriller, too.
And it doesn't help that you have that problem where every time you are shocked or surprised, you just get a boner.
Yeah.
So
wait, we're calling that a problem now?
It's funny. It's just kind of sad.
It's something that you've learned to live with. Let's put it that way.
I'm not even allowed to go in haunted houses anymore.
You don't allow yourself. They want you there.
Well, they want me there, but I have to bring my own mop and bucket.
I was Whoa! I was trying. Like, I try so hard
I'm no
to not.
quitter, dude.
God. Son.
What were you trying to do, Steve?
I was trying to roll with it, but I can't. I was trying to not be the wet blanket and ruin all you guys' fun. I can't get on board anymore. I am out.
All right, let's actually get into the fucking podcast here. So I laid the groundwork. Steve, we're trying to convince you. Here are the reins. Take over. What are the questions? What do you got for us?
Well, I need to see. Tyler, I want you to go through the plot for me real quick.
Perfect.
Because since we didn't watch the trailer for A Cure for Wellness, I literally have no clue what this is about.
Great. I got this. I'll be able to do it quicker than the trailer. So, Dane DeHaan, he's the main character. His father dies, and he's really upset about that, and he blames Spider-Man for the death of his father.
As soon as you said his dad, I was like, yep, I know where this is going.
It's... Go on.
All right. In all honesty, his dad does die in the movie, so I was like, oh, perfect. But I got this joke in the back.
Is that how you feel about, like, every time you watch a movie and someone's dad dies, you're like, got it.
Spider-Man.
See another movie.
But no, he works for a financial institute, and he gets promoted to like he does so well that he gets promoted, and the board kind of calls him in, and they're like, hey, so we're about to do this huge merger, so you're affected by this as well because you just got this promotion and you're kind of in all of this. We got this letter from this guy who you kind of took his spot, and they're like, so read this over. What do you think? And he says, I think he's lost his mind. They're like, yeah, okay. But also, since we're doing this huge merger, we know that, I don't know the government agency, it might be the IRS, whatever. We know they're going to investigate us to be like, hey, is everything straight? Like, is everything going good? Because it's that big.
That makes sense.
It's that big of a deal.
So far reasonable.
Yeah. It's that big of a deal, and then it's not directly said, but it's alluded to the fact that Dane DeHaan kind of cooked the books in his favor to advance
to get the promotion.
Yeah, and because they're just like honestly, you think that we haven't tried, like these are the oldest tricks in the book. Like you thought that we wouldn't notice this stuff. Like we're not stupid. We saw that you did this. And he's like, I don't know what you're talking about. And they're like, we're not stupid. And he's like, okay, what are you saying? And they're like, well, you're still a great, you're good at your job. And this guy that you got the letter from is obviously like something's fucked up with him. So go to, I think it's Sweden, Go there.
Never. Nothing ever good happens in Sweden based on what I've seen in movies. I've only seen 5 minutes of Hostel.
And they're like, hey, go pick him up. Since he's already like clearly not in his right mind, we'll just use him as the scapegoat. We'll say, oh, hey, he's not in his right mind. He's the one who did all this dumb stuff. So just go pick him up, bring him back. He'll be the scapegoat. You'll be fine. We'll be able to get through all this, and we'll all be able to reap the benefits. Because
mean but clever.
Well, and even still, it's kind of the company is like, well, because if Dane DeHaan gets fucked, we get fucked because he's one of our big people now. So it's kind of
sounds like my movie.
A lot of fucking, I know.
Charlie, you need to sit down.
So
we will get to that.
So Dane goes over there and he tries to find I forget the guy's name in the movie, but this old dude, he tries to find him, and it's just kind of a weaving thing of he's at this I wouldn't really call it a penitentiary or psych ward. It's kind of just a a
rehab facility.
Yeah, that's what I would say. Yeah, rehab. It's kind of a rehab facility.
I was thinking like a hospice or something like that.
Yeah, something along those lines. He goes there.
Wellness center.
He tries to get all that, and then as he's trying to get back this person, obviously there's all this stuff unfolds. Fucking the plot thickens, drama ensues, and a hubbubaloo. He gets hoodwinked. There's bamboozling, and there's
like the way
I'm gonna go ahead and take the L right now.
Bamboozling and hoodwinking.
and I mean, yeah, it's just rolling down a snow hill and becoming a bigger snowman the whole time. As far as plot thickenings,
it sounds real Shutter Island.
I can see the comparisons, but it's not. It's the only similarity is the fact that it is a wellness center or a psych ward type place. Okay. Other than that, that's where it ends.
That was me trying to pull the twist out in the middle, like right now.
Oh no, yeah, it's and I know some people said that that's going to be the twist, but it already kind of doesn't make. If you think about it doesn't make total sense that would be the twist because he gets sent by the company to go out there. So it's like, oh, if it's Shutter Island twist, then the company is also like letting him. Yeah, no, it's it. But yeah, that's basically what happens in the movie. It's just a bunch of bullshit that happens, and by bullshit I just mean.
Oh no, I forgot what we're doing on this podcast.
By bullshit, I just
very intriguing plot details.
By bullshit, I just meant the plot. Like, as in, I would have said that with any movie. Like, anything that happens in a movie is just kind of bullshit until the end when it all matters.
Good save.
If that makes sense, does that make sense?
Like, there's a zombie apocalypse. All this bullshit happens, and they get away.
And they get away. I mean, that's honestly yes. That's what I mean. In any movie, it's like, well, you start out this way, some bullshit happens, and then the end happens.
Tyler really showing his several bottles of wine.
No,
I decline to comment on that. I plead the fifth.
All right, Charlie. Hit me with having not read any of the books. Go ahead and hit me with
you
the plot.
fucking liar.
No, I.
You
helped
write the fan fiction. Hey, you helped write the fan fiction.
Yeah, the second trilogy.
Hold on though, like. Of all the things that I've admitted to on this podcast, you think that's where I'm going
the love of Bush.
You think?
Well, I made sure that I only listened to the audio books first, but only when I was on public transportation
and on speaker, not through headphones.
Yeah,
who reads those in the audiobook?
I would assume Malcolm McDowell. He was in Home Alone 5. He's obviously not doing much.
Thinking, like they had Gilbert Gottfried to read a passage from it that one time on that late night show, I think.
What do you mean that one time?
I think that was like a thing they did. They had read passages from it.
No, I'm pretty sure that one. It wouldn't be that one time if you just paid him $5. Like you just gave him, you're like, yeah, I'll read at least 10 pages for $5.
Throwing shade at Gilbert Gottfried.
I mean, I haven't read them, and I haven't seen the first movie. But what I gather from the first film is that The main two characters are Anastasia and Christian Grey.
Okay.
She runs into him, she catches his attention, and he's this super big business mogul, and he likes to kind of get women that then he can kind of take control of, and he really wants a submissive person in his life, and he kind of pushes her to these new limits and everything, makes her try things, not just sexually, but just in her life that she wouldn't have done normally. That's what I gathered from the first movie. But then at the end, things fell apart because he tried to get a little too controlling and pushed a little too hard. So this movie picks up.
So they are not together at the beginning of this film?
Correct, they are not.
Okay.
Which it started out with him delivering flowers to her house, and she gets him a gorgeous bouquet, and she takes them, and
Charlie
she goes
sounds
over
a
to her
little
kitchen,
jealous.
and she's about to throw them away, but then luckily she opens up the trash can, then doesn't, and that alone was enough for me to be like, okay, good. Because that's fucking dumb. Like, he's not going to know if you threw them away or not. You could at least enjoy them. I'd be like, yeah, I threw those away.
Got him.
They make Al smell great.
But, and they really tied the whole room together. But I threw them away.
She's working. She's like the assistant for some guy that runs a magazine. And she's just having her normal life and everything. And Christian starts trying to work his way back into her life.
Which is pretty easy because he can just show up wherever she is in a helicopter.
Basically, he's super rich. At one point, they say in the movie he makes $25,000 every 15 minutes.
What does he do?
He's just like so it goes into his backstory a little bit, and that's one of the other reasons why she wasn't with him originally, is she didn't know he wouldn't open up emotionally, at least.
Gotcha. So you related to him. You related to him a lot.
Yeah, exactly. So his mother was like a crack addict when he was younger, his biological mother, and just a very abusive set of parents and everything. So he ended up getting adopted at a young age after some pretty traumatic events by some parents that were super wealthy already. So they helped him like ascend the ranks and everything. So he has a good relationship with them, but those formative years when he was younger are what kind of fucked him up originally. So that's like where he gets his money from. He just does like different business stuff, big acquisitions of companies, and
sells crack. That's what I got from him.
Yeah, exactly. Making mom proud or jealous.
Right.
So he tries to work his way back into her life, and it kind of deals with
who's her?
Anastasia.
Okay. The main chick.
Keep up. I kept track with that, and the same time of doing the math that he's making $2.4 million a day. Carry on.
Nice. Nice. Damn, that's a lot of.
Fuck you guys.
Anyway, so the whole point of the movie is him trying to work his way back into her life, but then there's subplots of his business partner is Kim Basinger. That's how you say that, right? Basinger?
Basinger?
I think it's Basinger.
Fuck, we all three said it different.
I'll say K-Bass.
KB.
So K-Bass is his business partner, and that's one of the things that Anastasia is hesitant about as well, because she also kind of fucked him up or pushed him over the edge in his sexuality, and that sometimes weird sexual desires manifest when people have issues when they're children, especially with their parents, like the cliche daddy issues or whatever. But then that can manifest later sexually. And she was the one that kind of encouraged him to explore that and take ownership of it. And she is the one that kind of made him the way he is, or pushed him to be that way. And they're friends now, but I never thought I would be talking about this movie ever. Sorry. So Anastasia says about
it's a real surreal moment, isn't it? You get to talk about your passions like this, and it's just so.
I just never expected that it would be able to be on this podcast.
Exactly.
Yeah. And not just my own personal audio memoir. Hold on. Where was I going? Oh, but the concept is kind of interesting in that Anastasia's worrisome about it, and he says that he's going into business with her because he trusts her in the sense that he knows she's fucked up. So he knows that times when she's going to try and do something to screw him over, or the times when she'll try to betray him or something. So
that is the worst plan I've ever heard.
Wait, what business is he going in with her?
Probably more acquisitions.
He's trying to buy. I can't remember what
more
the business
inquisitions.
Acquisitions.
I was like, Steve.
does. Yeah. She's Spanish.
A dang Spanish Inquisition joke.
Just that,
timely.
She's not necessarily going to do it now because there's mutual interest since they both would be half owners of this company. But in the sense that they've had so much history together that he knows her so well, even if she does try to do messed up stuff, that's the reasoning for him rather than just a stranger that he doesn't know.
Okay.
So it's like your enemy so well that it's like, okay, I'd rather almost, keep them close.
I guess.
And then there's another subplot of then the boss for the magazine that Anastasia works with. You figure out halfway through the movie, he's doing like private investigator work on her. So you're thinking, oh, this is probably just Christian doing this, setting this up to try and keep tabs on it and everything like that. But then he starts following him too. So I don't know what the fuck he's doing at first, but it's a setup for the third movie.
I was going to say, is it maybe something like he hired her to get to Gray because he knows that Gray's like into her or something? I don't know. I'm just throwing that out there.
It's something that they're building up to.
There are people that watch
Especially
these movies and read these books. They're like, Steve, you're an idiot.
Obviously, we need to do a series of us just reading the books out loud as a podcast and
the old 20-hour podcast.
Commenting on them per we switch off every chapter and then we
her kind of main agreement with him to get back together is that in the first movie, I guess, because remember, I haven't seen it, there were lots of rules to almost like engagement of war or kind of rules.
Rules
where it's
of
like agreed
engagement?
upon things like, more or less.
No.
In the sense that like there are punishments in the relationship set up. If somebody does this, then this happens.
And then Dana
I
Carvey
guess people get punished in real life, but these are like written rules that they had. So it's just kind of a weird power struggle relationship. And now in the new one, she's saying like, okay, I'll try this again, but no more of that, those like bullshit rules or anything like that. Let's try to actually be a normal couple, more or less. So him struggling with that and progressing through till the end, where she eventually kind of goes back to the old ways, but they strike a balance somewhat. He eventually proposes to her. She accepts towards the end, but then it starts building up. It's definitely building up in the end for a third movie, because then you notice
because there's a third book.
Yeah, because there's a third book.
Yes.
Wait, what's the third book called?
Some subplot.
I think
where
it's
she's trying
50
to screw him
Shades
over.
Freed.
Yeah, and you
That
can't
doesn't make
tell
any
if.
sense.
And I think they shot them back to back.
Oh, on the old Lord of the Rings style.
Mm-hmm. It's going to be 50 Shades Freed Part 1
Anyway,
and Part
she's
2.
trying to have a subplot where she's trying to screw him over, and you can't tell if he really knows or not.
All right. Okay.
Including things as far as like trying to sabotage his helicopter mid-flight.
Oh, shit.
Oh my God. Hold on.
What is this? Is this the Marine or 12 rounds? We're talking about
yeah, kind of. I mean, well, it's foolish to compare this dude to John Cena.
I mean,
well, John Cena really disappears in any role he's in.
I was gonna say he's got to be better than John Cena because you can't film John Cena. For he cannot be seen.
An Invisible Man. They just wrap him in bandages.
No, dude. I think you're thinking of the Kevin Bacon movie, Hollow Man.
Oh, God. No one's thinking about that movie.
Dude, but those...
So, yeah, that's my movie.
Okay.
Those critics that Sony hired said that movie was awesome.
All right. So I'm gonna stick with Charlie for this question.
Sure.
Charlie... after seeing the trailer and now seeing the movie, especially as someone who hasn't watched the first one, what could have been added to the trailer that would have made you want to see this movie?
Oh, it sounded like you were gonna. It sounded like there was more to your question.
I mean,
what?
Yeah, what could have what from the movie? What from the movie that was like really? I ask this question every
No,
week.
yeah, I know. It just sounded like there was.
That-
It didn't sound like an into a sentence or whatever. It sounded
sorry.
like there was
Sorry.
more.
There are two answers to that. Because one, I mean, I could say if I haven't seen the first one, I would rather it be more of an introductory trailer. But I mean, I know the characters are more or less just because they're pop culture sensations.
Would you prefer more? Would you prefer in the trailer for there to be some very famous pop song, but redone slow and
Exactly. In all my trailers. No, I don't know. Well, it would be funny to me if they didn't allude to any of the sex at all, and then just make that a surprise for audience members.
Shit. That would be insane.
That actually,
That's what I would change to it. No, the trailer pretty much captured what was in it, at least. In that there's a lot of intercourse, but there is also shit like with the sailboat and the helicopter and things like that, and where there's some sort of not espionage, but there is some kind of private investigator stuff and sabotage and things like that.
It sounds like they read my journal.
Yeah.
your dream journal of what you want to happen daily.
5th grade.
I guess you're asking the same question to me, Steve.
Yes.
Can you repeat the question, please, for the listeners, and
And
to buy
you?
me time?
Okay, so Tyler, well, we might have to post the trailer later for everybody to watch.
Yeah, maybe we might. We might have to do this.
But what in the trailer? What would you have added to the trailer? I'm sorry. What would you have added to the trailer from the movie that would have made you want to see it more?
That made me want to see it more.
Like what's something in the movie that you know wasn't in the trailer that you thought, man, if they had put this in the trailer, I would have voluntarily come to this movie instead of begrudgingly seen it after the movie that I was supposed to watch was no longer in theaters.
This may sound stupid, but I feel like the trailer might have been too vague isn't the right word, but just too like, oh hey, there's a mystery going on. You know, it was too obvious that there was something weird going on, and I would have liked more of there.
You want to be caught off guard with that?
Yeah, if the trailer was so in the trailer, I know there's a scene where he drinks some water and he noticed there's like some type of little tiny
Critter.
like little tiny critter in the water in the glass. If it was a trailer where it was almost like, hey, that opening shot where he's being sent out there,
Right.
and then he kind of tries to check in, he does all this stuff, tries to see somebody, and then it ends. It ends around the time of him just seeing that thing, and then just says like a cure for a while. If it wasn't so in your face that like, oh hey, there's a mystery, there's something weird going on.
Because now that we've been talking about it, I do remember seeing a couple trailers. I don't know if we saw the same trailer, but I mean I saw one where he's just like in like a sensory deprivation type tank.
Yeah.
Now that I think about it, like that's what makes it like, oh man, something obviously weird is happening right now.
Yeah, I think if the trailer would have been more subtle, then...
like if they would have basically made it kind of look more like Wolf of Wall Street, and then at the very end give you a little bit of tinge of something weird happening.
The movie probably would have landed better too. You know?
They don't
feel like if with Cabin in the Woods, if you would have revealed
what
the shit's about in the trailer, it'd be like, oh well, damn.
Yeah. If it wasn't, it wouldn't even had to show the little critter in the glass. It could have just been like stuff like nobody ever leaves. Like just kind of little stuff like that. And the trailer could have even ended with that car crash,
Right.
and him having a broken leg, and then being like, "Well, you're going to be here for a while."
Oh yeah, because
And
if that happened, I wouldn't have known what was going to happen. But I would have thought, like, if I see him in a car crash with a broken leg, I'm immediately going to think rear window, like something's going on that doesn't necessarily happen to him. He's just he gets kind of caught up in it.
It could have done all that. Car crash, wake up, you have a broken leg, you're going to have to stay here for a while. Cure for wellness.
Like,
see it in February, whatever.
That would definitely make me realize that there was a mystery, but not
take
know
off
the
your
extent
3D
of
glasses now.
And insert smell-o-vision.
Oh God, smell-o-vision. The dream
because of the cast.
Depository.
the ghost all of Hollywood is chasing.
because when he takes off the cast, you're gonna want to smell that.
Oh God.
That's
Okay.
my answer.
And boy, was it a doozy. Anyway, so this question is going to be more for Charlie now. Well, it's because like,
How darker were your 50 Shades?
were there any actual no? I was going to ask Charlie, what is the best love scene in your film? I was gonna ask Tyler, like, what kind of, like, not love scene, because of course it's definitely a much PGer movie. I think
it's R.
No, but back when it was going to be Space Between.
Oh, okay.
Now I don't think it's relevant.
But dude, and we didn't even get to see all those Merkins too. That's bullshit.
Yeah, I know. The mystery is just still there.
Well, there are quite a few different scenes in this movie, but I would say they all vary pretty vastly. But the more I was thinking about it, I jotted down some notes for this movie again. They definitely use it
overachiever
as a means of
taking it seriously.
There are like 3 of them. They definitely use it as a sort of means of storytelling, and I guess initially I was kind of off-put by that idea, but then when I think that, I mean, that is an important connection you have in life, and you can work certain things out through that. So for them to show relationship struggles through that, at least, why would that be any worse or taken any less seriously, as long as it's presented seriously, than, say, showing relationship struggles at like a party or something with your friends, or where they can show problems in the relationship through that. And since this movie's all about her submission and everything in that kind of, it's overused term, but toxic relationship in the first one, I can only assume.
Yeah.
Sorry, I can't take myself seriously wearing my hat like this.
Yeah, I was gonna make a comment about it, but because I just turned over and saw the Sky video of you with that hat on, and I was just like, I'm just gonna let this slide, I guess.
He was in the middle of an actual, a thoughtful response to the question.
So it's interesting to see how it plays out throughout the rest of the movie. And I think one of the important themes throughout it is that
Unprotected
he
sex.
has he has a very troubled past, and he wants to be the dominant person in the bedroom. But it's kind of revealed that Anastasia has more of the strength than, in the sense that she can allow herself to be submissive, and his is almost a weakness in that he needs to be the dominant one. So for her to be able to have strong enough character and kind of have that fortitude that, like, I can allow myself to be treated like this without it taking over my entire life. Do you get what I'm saying?
No, I get exactly what you're saying, and that's way more than I was expecting from what this movie would be.
I think it helps that it's the second movie too, so they can start delving into that, since there's
they can kind of hit the ground
or
running.
anything like that. That that was all knocked out in the first one, so now they can kind of examine that. The whole thing is like an examination of a fucked up relationship that had gone wrong, but then trying to go right, but not in the like hold a stereo outside of the window kind of way, in a realistic way. Well, it depends.
Don't you ever tell me
Realistic
that say
that.
anything is not realistic.
Yeah, I'm
realistic. I'm
triggered
using
and
literally, like,
offended.
this dude makes $2 million a day or whatever, but in the sense that he is trying
to hold a
but not in
stereo
the
outside. Oh,
not in the cheesy kind of ways.
All right. Now I gotta figure out a question for Tyler.
you're all good, dude. You don't have to ask me any questions because you know that my movie is better. So don't even try to stall for yourself because I guess I'll just do it for you while you try to think of a new question.
I really
and
hate
we'll
that I didn't realize you were
just-
stalling at first. I was just like interested. I was like listening to what you were saying.
Oh, I can add another thing too. With the lovemaking scenes, not all of them are like the super hardcore that it's alluded to be. There are regular ones as well, and again, that plays into where they're at in their relationship and trying to be normal, or if they're falling back in their old ways and everything.
regular.
But the ones that are intense are quite intense. It's not graphic hardcore porn. You don't see direct penetration. but it's definitely way more tastefully done for the most part. There are some things where it's like I could see how somebody would be pretty triggered by this, but as far as the quality of the shots and everything,
All right. Okay.
it
Regular
does make you appreciate the human body for sure.
regular love making, boring.
All right, Tyler.
Hold on. Quick question.
Sure.
Quick question, Charlie. How many dicks did you see in this movie?
There's one time where I think you might be able to, but it's very like you're not quite sure due to shadow play.
A Cure for Wellness. A
Shadow.
Cure for Wellness has more schlong shots than 50 Shades Darker.
Seriously?
Oh yeah. What's your
Oh, no.
What's your question?
My
Steve?
question was gonna be like if it was supernatural or mundane in the whole mystery. Like, is it?
I'd say
Is it of this world?
Yeah, like is it people being jerks, or is it like, or does it get like real, like Lovecraftian at some point?
I would say it's more supernatural. So do you, should I spoil things? Should I?
I'm usually okay with the spoiling of things for the
Fine by me.
podcast. I feel like the reason people listen to this podcast is so they don't have to see these movies. They feel like they can be like, oh, that was enough.
Well, they've had enough time now. They could have already
Alright.
hit, like, fast forward a couple times.
All right, well, strap the fuck in for this. so it turns out that first you find out early on that the hospital place is built at the top of this hill of a
Ancient Indian burial ground.
of a town, and the town
Kong Island.
doesn't really like the top of the hill. And it turns out that like
Wait, the town just doesn't like the top
well,
of the hill.
as in like they don't like those people up there. And
Oh.
there's like history where this baron and this baroness. This baron was like wanting to fuck his sister to keep the bloodline pure, and his sister was the only way to keep the bloodline pure. So he wanted to have a baby with his sister, but then they all like burned down everything and burnt the sister alive and like cut open her stomach and killed
Oh,
the feet. Like
Jesus.
but the baby survived all this shit.
They killed her too.
And
Not him.
and he got burnt up, but
okay,
it turns out that what they're doing at this
Is
place
the main character the baby?
No, as in Dane.
Yeah.
No, he's not the baby. It's this other girl named Hannah who is Shia LaBeouf's wife.
Real show, like in real life?
Yeah, she was in.
No, in the movie.
She was in.
Well, no, I was just thinking. I didn't know Shia
She
LaBeouf was
was
married.
she was in Nymphomaniac. That movie, the Lars von Trier movie, the most recent
Only
one.
volume 2 though.
Oh, okay. I remember. I haven't seen that, but
Fuck
I've
you, Charlie.
seen. I've seen like the.
Yeah, it's shitty.
picture of it.
So Lars von Trier is a fucking hack. So what happens is, it turns out that the guy who is the director of the whole organization is the Baron, even though it was like 200 years ago. He's still the Baron, and the fetus that survived is this girl, Shia LaBeouf's wife. But what happens is that they're taking these like little drops of liquid every now and then, and apparently they say they're these vitamins, but what it really is they're using these like special eels that they're putting inside of the patients, and the eels like distill this type of liquid that comes out of the patients that they're using to live longer. And so it's
Like a life force or something.
yeah, so it's like prolonging their lives, and so that makes and the way I took it was that it slows down a lot of their aging. So Shia LaBeouf's wife she already looks like a young person. If you saw her picture, you'd be like, oh, she looks like she's a young person. But I think she's not supposed to be super young in the movie, but she later gets her like period for the first time in the movie.
Okay.
And the Baron, the director, is like, oh shit, this finally fucking happened. Like, I've been waiting for this forever. By the way, what was the question?
When did she get her period?
At about hour two, she got her period.
Okay.
And Steve's VHS copy will forever be grainy in that.
Can you even buy a VHS copy of movies now?
I mean, you can
press
get
it yourself.
No, you can't. But you can get a Betamax.
yeah, no. Basically, what you do is you play a DVD through a VHS player and record the
Hey
DVD.
man, if you play the DVD enough times, it'll wear out.
Which I'm also not doing. But the question was whether or not this is a supernatural thing, and I think we've clearly crossed into supernatural.
It is supernatural. I started describing the whole fucking plot of the ending. No, yeah, it is supernatural because
They've actually lived so long that they've seen every season of Supernatural.
Impossible. That show is eternal.
Not many people can say that. And so it's yeah, I won't go into the later stuff if that's the answer. Yes, supernatural.
No, you expanded, and I'm glad you did because wow, I honestly I thought Charlie was running away with it with some stuff there, but you definitely got back in the fight.
Hold on, did Charlie mention the cunnilingus yet?
There's a lot of it.
Oh, well, shit, then I guess, yeah, never mind. Yeah, I thought that if he had already mentioned it, I would have been like, man, I guess I win, but he hasn't mentioned it yet, so he's going to win. That's the runaway victory. He just...
I was gonna switch.
He timed the...
What you got for me, Steve?
I was gonna go into final thoughts.
Oh, okay.
Well, anything else that you want to add, like final thoughts, anything else you want to add?
Sure.
No,
I mean,
just
there's
notes.
the tone of this movie is usually presented as uber serious and total melodrama. And I would say that that's still probably 85% of the film. But some of the humor is funny and catches me off guard in that these people, once they're back in the relationship together, they are clearly extremely comfortable with each other. And there's a scene where she's getting ready to go to this event, the mask party that you see in the trailer.
Right.
She's standing in front of the mirror and in her lingerie, and he comes up and he's like, hey, I got something for you to wear tonight. And he gives her like some earrings, and she's like, oh, thanks, yada, yada. And then he's like, I got something else too. And he holds up a set of, I believe they're called Benoit balls.
What?
And she looks at them.
Say that slower, please.
Benoit balls.
Benoit balls.
Oh, yeah.
Chris Benoit balls.
That's
she's like, she says, well, where do those go? And he goes, bend over and I'll put them inside you. And she just goes, you're not putting that in my ass. Which I don't know. The delivery of it was kind of funny in that everything is so suave in the trailers, everything they say. But that was one of the moments where they're talking, even though it's an irregular situation, I guess. But for her to just be like, yeah, you're not putting that in my ass.
It seemed more
and
real.
Him laughing. It's like, it's not all complete, Rico Suave and
right.
luster or smoldering gazes and everything.
So
then she does bend over
75%.
and he puts it in her vagina, though, for sure.
Oh, okay. I thought you were gonna say, but he does end up putting her ass, so she.
He does have, he does have like remote control of like an electric sensor in him too. So
What?
some hilarity ensues during the party.
Oh, of course it does.
This movie sounds insane.
After you just told us about a 200-year-old baron eating eels to stay alive forever.
Whoa, dude! He doesn't eat the eels.
Drinks them?
He distills He puts the eels through the human bodies, and it distills the water through the humans, and they drip out this cure, this little fucking vial.
Okay.
And God, get it right, dude. It makes sense.
I still cannot. All right, keep going, Charlie.
Just in general, I mean, I was expecting hot garbage, and in the bad way, not hot as in good. And the movie was for sure more artful, I would say. They might have taken some criticism from the first one and said, like, okay, let's not make it purely centered around the sex. And I'm not denying that there is a lot in it. There is a lot in it, and some of it is pretty graphic. Again, it's not like hardcore porn. It's way classier than that. I guess it's presented in a more tasteful way. So it really is more about the relationship and how that proceeds rather than just two people fucking.
Okay.
Because that would be a long movie then.
All right. Tyler? I mean, with the final thoughts, delve as deep down this crazy rabbit hole as you desire.
Okay, well, it turns out that he wants to. Now that his daughter got her period, he wants to fuck her.
Okay, so the Baron is still trying to maintain purity in the line.
Yeah. And so he wants to fuck the daughter, so he takes her to this like underground lair.
Getting real Game of Thrones.
Ties her to a bed.
Oh, wow.
Tears off her dress. And he's like about to fuck her, and then Dane DeHaan's like, "Yo, nah, that's not gonna happen, dude." And he like starts.
Are
to
we
fight.
embarrassed? Because I see an Eiffel Tower in our future.
And he's like, "Fuck you, dude!" And then the Baron tears off his. Apparently, he's a real John Woo fan because he took his face off, and he has like a burnt face underneath.
Oh,
like,
from when they tried to burn him alive.
yeah. So he puts like a fake like little face mask on, and they have a little fight, and then what's her name?
Shia
LaBeouf's wife ends up getting free and pushes him into the pit of eels, and he gets eaten by the eels, and there's fire everywhere. Everything gets burned down, and Dan DeHaan and Shia LaBeouf's wife ride away on a bicycle. And
The best way to escape is on bicycle.
And it's all uphill.
Was she on pegs? Please tell me she was on the pegs.
Dude, yeah, she had to have been there. I don't know what she was
Dane's
sitting on.
calves were like fucking jacked at the end of that.
It was actually a tandem bike, but she wasn't pedaling, so he was just doing all the work.
Bitch.
That's not cool.
But yeah, it's so yeah, like I said, you find out that you see her near the beginning.
Wait, so did she? So she knew what was kind of going on. And
No,
she was not. She was not down with the whole.
She had no idea what was going on.
Okay.
So
She
she
just
knew
thought it was normal that she was like hundreds of years old.
Well, no. See, she. So everybody that's at the place is like an old fuck, and she's like young, and so
she just thought that that's how long people live.
And so she's like, "Well, I'm told I'm different than everybody. I got to do whatever." And Danon's like, "Yeah, but you're young. Like you're literally the only young person in this entire place." And so they end up hanging out and they do whatever. And then she finds out.
Ooh.
Well, and then when she has her period, she freaks the fuck out. And there's this.
I did.
There's this whole. There's this whole party that he throws because he's like, "Woo! She got a period."
I'm sure she feels super awkward.
Yeah, no. There's a scene where she like walks into the
Party?
mess hall and she's like,
And everyone they give her a standing ovation.
well, she does one of those things where she's just like freaking the fuck out, and you see the bottom of her dress, which is blood everywhere, and the dude is like, "Oh, it's
Bring
all
out the tomato soup pinata.
He's like, "Oh, it's all right," and I'm thinking like, "Fuck, poor girl." Like she just walked in this entire cafeteria with blood all over her vag area, and
I mean that's definitely gonna be
like
gonna be super rough.
But then
for her.
again,
It's
like
a party.
but then again, freaking out like you would if you had no idea that was a thing.
Yeah.
And you just started bleeding. You'd be like, "What the fuck? What is happening?"
Yeah, I'm about to die.
and then everybody just sees it and they're like, "Oh, good for her." And you're like, "What? No! Everybody, listen! What is happening?"
Yeah.
So I kind of felt bad. I was like, "Ooh, that's."
Well, okay,
That's
were there women there, or was it just a bunch of old guys? Okay.
I mean, it's old ladies, old dudes. I mean,
But
you
like
see-
none of these ladies ever talked to her about this happening?
I guess not. Well, I think that she was kind of the way that it's put is that she's kind of supposed to stay away from everything. I think Dane DeHaan is kind of his character the whole time is like, "I'm not a fucking patient of this place. Like I'll do whatever the fuck I want. Like I don't."
Yeah.
You know, hey, I see this girl. Her name's Hannah. He's like, I see her walking on. Hey, what's up? What are you doing here? What's going on here? And there's actually a point in the film where he's like, she's like riding her bike around. He's like, okay, let's go down to the town. Like, let's leave. And she's like, "Oh, you can't do it." And he's like, "Well, let's fucking do it. Who says we can't?" And they do it, and they hang out there for a while.
I feel like that they would have her locked down if she's this important person?
Yeah, well, it turns out that, I mean, if we're going full spoilers, it turns out later in the film that there is a cop within the town, and he is
A snitch.
Yeah, he's got all types of stitches. He's in cahoots with the director of the place, because Danahan gets he finds out that that apparently the guy that he was trying to get was like losing his teeth, and he went to a doctor in the town. He's like, yeah, why would he be losing his teeth? And they're like, well, the only thing I can see is extreme dehydration. But the whole thing of that wellness center is like hydration cureness, and he's like, all they do is drink water. Like, that's all they do is water. And he's like, what the fuck does that even? And then later Dane Han loses a tooth, and then he gets like one of his teeth like drilled out. They like put a drill in his tooth, and it's almost like Clockwork
Standard protocol.
Yeah, it's almost Clockwork Orange style, where they like force him on a chair and they grip open his mouth and they zzz, and then he goes down to the cop and he's like, yeah, no, what the fuck? Look at my teeth. Like, I have no teeth right here. I'm fucked. Like, call somebody. And he's like, oh, why should I believe you? Do you have an ID? And he's like, fuck you, dude.
Yeah,
That's how he says it too.
Yeah, exactly.
The classic like zoned out police enforcement.
Yeah.
from these kind of movies.
Yeah, and it ends with Danahan's escaping with Hannah, Shia LaBeouf's wife. And he's escaping with her on the bike, and then he runs into he literally runs into the CEOs, like the board of that company, because they're like, okay, what the fuck is going on? And they ended up going visit him, and he runs into the car that is that is transporting them up the hill. And they're like, what the fuck? They're like, okay, hey, yo, what the fuck is going on? You gotta go with us. Get in the car. And he's like, no, fuck you guys. And they just ride off into the fucking sunset.
Wait, so he finds the people that sent him there to find the guy, and they're like, no, we have to leave. And he's, we should rescue you right now. And he's like, nah.
I think no, it was because there's a scene earlier where you know that because he didn't bring back the guy that they wanted him to bring back, that they were putting the fall on him.
Right.
So if he went back with them, he would be fucked. There's actually a line in the movie where one of the female board members says, this is like within the first couple minutes, she says, what do you think about 12-inch black dick? And he's like, what? and she's like,
and he goes, you have to ask?
And she says, prison. You're going to go to prison. Like, what do you... That's what I'm talking about.
Wow, that is rude.
And actually, well, no, and
that is a stretch miss.
There's a black guy on the board. It shows a shot of him.
And he's just like grinning and shaking.
Yeah, he's like,
I am offended by this.
I'm offended and flattered at the same damn time.
I mean, I guess that's all my final thoughts. I don't know. It was a psychological thriller.
I gotta say, I am thoroughly surprised by both of these movies.
Can I put one more thing I saw in my notes? I saw one of the positive reviews I saw. They put a good quote in. They said kind of the same thing. I wasn't that. Almost everybody that goes see this is expecting it to be trash. And his quote was, you can like a movie, but you don't have to respect it in the morning. And that, you can still enjoy movies and then, like, okay, I know this isn't going to be a timeless classic, but I can still go in and enjoy something and then wake up the next morning and be like, I'm never watching that again. But you can still enjoy it, though.
I know exactly what you mean. And I think we've all kind of come around to that idea, especially now.
Yeah, Transformers.
Yeah.
Not including one.
Doesn't she look kind of young?
No, she does. She looks super young there.
Yeah, that's what Shia LaBeouf, that's the girl. That's her and Shia LaBeouf.
Those are some pretty nice looking pixels.
Well, here's
like
her IMDb picture.
She looks like a 12-year-old.
Yeah, I was very confused throughout a lot of the movie.
That looks like a child.
I was confused through a lot of the movie because there's kind of like some type of sexual tension between them two, and I was like, isn't she like 12? What? I had to look it up.
Okay?
I had to look it up in the movie to be like, okay, and then it doesn't list her age on IMDb, but it says she's been married to Shia LaBeouf since, and I'm like, okay, well, she's at least 18, I guess. Like, there's and it was really.
And you let Paul Rubens know next to you, right? So he could feel fine about it.
Yeah.
He was fine before.
And then Jared Fogle was over there too, and I was like, yo, dude, it's all right. But wait.
Not for him.
We'll have to cut that out. What's the guy's name?
Oh,
what guy?
From Subway.
Yeah, that's his name.
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought I was saying somebody else's name.
Maybe.
Shit. Is his last name? What's his last name?
Thought it was that Jared Fogle.
I don't know. I think it's. I can only think Jared from Subway right now.
Oh, I was right. Okay,
Yeah.
good.
Okay.
Good. I thought I was saying like somebody. I thought
Like some poor guy.
that we like know in real life or something that I accidentally said his name instead. I was like, oh shit, wait, did I?
Did I just ruin someone's life?
It was a look. For some reason, it was a look that you had on your face, Steve. It was like, shit, did I not?
Well, no, because because it's not okay for him because he likes them.
Because if she was of age, then he'd be like, ah, shit.
He'd be like, well, that's not a boy.
Oh, Jesus.
I mean, he's in jail.
No, that guy is. I can't even express how bad that human being
He's
is.
awful.
Yeah.
Like, why are you feeling bad for me
No,
making Jared jokes? The old JJs.
No, I feel bad for bringing it up. For people who are like, man,
reminding people that shithead lives.
yeah, and that those poor
enough.
people.
Fair enough. All right. Well,
No, but anyway, like what I'm saying is this is a lot more difficult than I truly thought it was going to be. Like, okay, Charlie, well, now that Tyler has to see a movie that doesn't look quite as terrible, you might be on the ropes.
Yeah.
And then like between the fact that it sounds like that 50 Shades Darker is more about a relationship progression, sounds a lot better to me than what I thought it was going to be, which was just going to be just
anal beads.
I'm pretty much, yes.
I mean, I think that's why they sold it that way, is because you're gonna get butts in seats, you know.
Yeah. And then Cure for Wellness, like I thought it was just gonna be another like, I mean, yes, it doesn't make sense, but no, it doesn't make sense what I thought based on what you said earlier.
Okay.
Like because I thought it was gonna be like a Shutter Island, like no, he was the guy that they sent or something, you know, and he was the one going insane or whatever it was, but. Man, did that movie seem to take a turn. Bamboozled does not even begin to cover it.
It doesn't.
But I think I'm going to go with 50 Shades Darker. Oddly enough. I truly, like, this is...
Okay. All right. So...
Explain yourself.
Yeah.
I'm more intrigued to see a progression of a relationship than I am to see the insanity that sounds like what's going on in Cure for Wellness.
Okay.
I know that, like.
All right.
I'm sorry, Tyler.
No, who do you want to hear? Do you want to hear real thoughts from?
I want to hear real thoughts from you, Tyler.
Okay. This movie was a fucking mess. It made no sense. I thought I was stupid after leaving this movie because I had no idea what happened. I had to look it up and read the Wikipedia to understand what happened in this movie. I don't know if it's like me just being dumb. Maybe I missed something. Maybe I'm just getting old. I don't know. This movie was fucking stupid. But stupid in the sense that it just made no sense. And it was edited by like a 5-year-old.
So basically it was Home Alone 4 again.
The editing was awful. I would look down. I would look down for not even a second, and look back up, and the character would be somewhere where I'd be like, how did he get out of that situation? What did I miss? Like, there's one scene where he's getting chased by all these people. I looked down, and then the screen went black, so I looked back up. Like, literally, I looked down, screen went back, looked back up, and he's smoking a cigarette in a hallway. And there's nobody chasing him. And I was like,
you just don't know art, you idiot.
I was like, oh, okay. And it had one
We
of
may
those...
want to take you to the doctor. You may be having mini comas.
Or yeah, Tyler's developed narcolepsy.
And there's the whole, like... The reason he is there is because he, like, broke his leg in this car crash while he was leaving, where a deer, like, ran out and the car hit it.
A deer came out and broke his leg.
That's such a fucking trope.
He owed the
That's
deer
never
money.
happened before, dude.
In movies, yeah. People never hit a deer in movies while they're driving and near wildlife. You know, and that part alone, at the very start, I was like, okay, so they like went, okay, go deer, go. Like what is
The deer was in goats.
and yeah, and of course, you know, it took way too long for this to happen, but I was like, his leg's not broken probably. And then maybe like 20 minutes left in the movie, he finally cuts off his cast and he's fine. I'm like, yeah, you probably could have done that.
So like when he crashed, like he passed out and they just like he like
Well, it's
woke
one of-
up in a cast.
It was a pretty huge crash, and then he woke up and he's like, what the? And they're like, yeah, it was a pretty big crash, and he's like, well, what the fuck happened? And they're like, you've been kind of asleep for a couple days just because it was that big of a crash, and they're like,
Right.
And he sees that he's got a cast on his leg, so I think he as a character was like, and he even mentions it because somebody says, did it hurt? Sorry, I hit the mic. Hannah says, did it hurt? And he's just like, I don't remember. Because it was one of those like trauma, like
Yeah.
you just black out and you don't. And he's just like, it didn't hurt because I don't remember. Like
Right.
maybe it did, but who knows? But that doesn't change the fact that this movie was just a mess. And
Dude,
and the
I
thing
kind
is,
of want to watch it. Not like since I've seen Criminal, I kind of want to watch this
the
movie.
thing is, I didn't dislike it for the first maybe half. I was like, oh, okay. I mean, it's not bad. It may be trying a little bit too hard for stuff, but it's not bad. Then when the whole like Baron thing, where he was the director and he like peels off his face and then he looks at this picture and he sees a kid Hannah and the picture is dated 1912. I was questioning so many things. I was like, wait, okay, does this movie take place in present time? Which it did because he was on a laptop and all that stuff. And I was like, okay, also these motherfuckers said it's been like 200 years since the Baron, like this event happened. And I had I was like, why is this guy alive? That's part of the reason why I had to look it up on Wikipedia. Apparently the eel thing he was doing was keeping him alive.
Was that not clear in the movie?
Maybe it was. Maybe I missed a line. I don't know. Maybe it was one of those
I
things
feel like if you miss a single line of dialogue, you shouldn't be that far behind.
That's what I'm saying. It might have. I feel like it was something that if I didn't get it, it was one line of dialogue or something where I might have glazed over or not have digested the way they wanted. Because there is a scene where he's like in a chamber where he's like, yeah, I get the vitamin stuff because I distill it from you. He does that. And I was like, okay, so he's putting these eels in these people. And apparently, I guess in that scene is where you find out that it's keeping him alive for all these fucking years. I don't know. And then I don't get it because then why the fuck does Hannah just now get her period? Is she supposed to be? Because early in the movie, she goes and gets a beer with Dane Nahan and she like dances with all these people. So like, oh, okay.
Well,
so
because technically she's 200 years old.
I guess, dude, I don't know. I don't know why. I don't know why. I just don't know. And then it was really awkward because she's topless at the end of the movie, but it's right after she just has her first period. So it was really like...
So like age-wise and like physically age-wise, she's supposed to be teenage years, I guess.
Man, I don't know. Like, I knew that she was of age because they would not show her topless if she was not.
Right.
But the fact that, given the context of the film, I still felt really uncomfortable seeing her topless. I was like,
she's basically
is the SWAT team going to come in on this theater?
Because she's basically presented as a child.
Yeah, she is. She's even referred to as a child. It was super weird. So weird and so just disjointed and awkward and a mess and not...
So it all comes full circle to Jared Fogle.
Exactly. Not her type, not his type, I mean.
Okay. Anyway, Charlie, real thoughts.
And it fucking sucked, dude.
I got so many Snapchats today of Charlie watching this movie.
I honestly though, if you put in two people that could act better, there might actually be a movie here. Real though.
That could act.
Wow.
There really might be then. Because I do think you could use those means to, like what I said earlier, I do think you could use that to make a story, but it just needs to be better. It needs to be so much better. I watched the second half of this movie on 2 times speed. and on speed. It was just...
So it sounds like when it comes to my choice, it sounds like it was a no-win on this one.
Yeah, it was.
It really was a lot of it was just bad and boring, and it was well made. I think there might actually, I will give it that. I think there might actually be a compelling story in there somewhere, but overall, it was shit.
So like,
if you're gonna watch that, if you're gonna make it that crappy quality, you might as well just watch porn.
Okay.
And then you'll save 2 hours.
Yeah, there were a lot.
So what you're saying is I should just read the books.
And just beat off in your own home. There were a lot of naked old people in my movie. That's why I was. It was weird, and then there was the parent. I guess she was. I don't know. I don't want to. So anyway,
wow, this was by far probably the worst the worst matchup for both of people being like this. They were just terrible.
So 50 Shades Darker is a 9% on Rotten Tomatoes with a 3.4 out of 10, 149 reviews. That leaves only 13 fresh reviews. The critics' consensus is lacking enough chemistry, heat, or narrative friction to satisfy. The limp 50 Shades Darker wants to be kinky, but only serves as its own form of punishment.
People did have chemistry, though. I would give them that. Like, physical chemistry, they seem like they really would want to bang each other, though. So I guess I'll give them that.
Cool. Hey, here's a rotten review. Has even the
it was easy to find.
Yeah. Has even the target audience for this junk finally had enough? We got a movie this bad deserves to have its flaws enunciated clearly.
Wow.
Here's a positive review. The movies aren't so bad, they're good. They're so brilliantly bad, they're genius. With Foley dutifully presenting every inane plot point while gifting us excuses to laugh.
There are
How is that a good review?
There are maybe 2 or 3 moments there where it does border on like this is so bad it's like kind of awesome funny, but it's just not enough to save it though. Not even close.
The worst thing to happen to fictional Seattle since Fraser bedded Rose. And that's probably a pretty dank Fraser reference.
Yeah, there are like 6 people out there that just went off.
More than 6. Fraser's pretty
No,
fucking
who
popular.
listened to us?
Oh, okay. I was gonna say. I was like, roommate Kevin on the other side of the wall would probably totally love that reference. The kind of movie that's fun only when you're laughing at its flaccid attempts at drama.
I love these kind of movies because they really bring out the sex puns. Like the sex puns in the criticism.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's always going to say flaccid.
Flaccid. Limp. Soft.
Here's a positive review. The film doesn't generate... Hold on. This is not spelled correct. The full review's in Spanish, but I'm going to read it how it's written. The film doesn't generate any kind of interest either at the melodramatic level or in other contextual ideas of the movie.
I mean,
Positive.
if that person's
Fresh.
English as a second language speaker, that was a pretty decent. decently put
Another
together.
the final positive review. It's saucy, forgettable escapism.
Okay,
There's escapism.
I can see that as a positive. Like how many times do we do this where we read positive reviews and like that's worse than the bad ones?
So 50 Shades are at 9%. A Cure for Wellness is at 38% with a 5.2 out of 10 average review. 101 reviews counted. 38 of those are fresh. The critics' consensus is A Cure for Wellness boasts a surfeit. Surfeit? Is that that word? I've never seen that word.
That is way too far away for me to read.
I can't see it.
surfeit. Surfeit?
Probably.
I mean, yeah.
Seems good.
And boasts a surfeit of visual
It
style.
means it's of Surf Ninja quality.
Gotcha.
So
Thanks for
the highest of all qualities.
Thanks for the Webster Dictionary.
the highest of all Rob Schneider qualities.
But it's wasted on a derivative and predictable story whose twists, turns...
Predictable?
Yeah, dude. Twists, turns, and frights have all been more effectively dealt before.
Yeah, and Kim Basinger's character, Basinger, whatever, K-Bass, played his
K-Bass.
ex-lover, but I'm pretty sure she is, like, significantly older than him.
Oh,
and
definitely.
and then Anastasia is way younger than him.
This negative review of A Cure for Wellness pretty much sums up what I was saying before. Somewhere around the middle of the film, one begins to realize it probably isn't going to any place worthwhile. That's pretty much what I said earlier. I was like, I felt like I liked it until past halfway, and then it was like, okay, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah. Like, what is the point of going into all this?
Seems to last forever, correct? And when it finally ends, leaves a sour aftertaste of overproduced, overblown schlock.
Wow, there's a lot of suggestion in that title, or in that review.
What do you mean suggestion?
Just all the double entendres.
Oh, I gotcha. And then a positive review, a deft illustration of the desire for retreatism inspired by the ruthlessness of modern urban life and the ways that desire can be exploited. I guess I can see
Deft?
that. It was
It does
not
not sound like Deft.
Yeah, it was not I can see those ideas were present, but they were not delivered.
Side note: when does is it called Get Out? The Jordan
Peele movie?
I think it's next week.
Yeah, it might already be out.
Because honestly, I didn't think it was out yet, but there was a point where I was like, maybe we could just Cure for Wellness, Get Out situation.
Well, I think Get Out is already.
They're
high.
not even going to be close to being the same quality. It
Yeah.
looks like.
Let's see. I'm pretty sure Get Out has already had earlier reviews. It's already at 100%.
Oh, okay.
Out of 19 reviews. So I mean, it's not gonna. It would have to take a lot.
This is
to get
exactly like
down.
that time when I was trying to get the horror movies, and I like found these horror movies, and then I realized that they were all they were good, and I was like, damn it. I spent hours crafting this thing only to have good options.
Here's a negative review. 2.5 hours of dull, aching unpleasantness.
Wow, I don't even know.
That's unfortunate.
One shouldn't underestimate the sheer pleasure of encountering a project that's willing to deviate from the typical obsession with plot and hitting storytelling beats in an attempt at something grander.
But you just said that they stopped doing things that are good.
A tale so absurd. That was a positive review. A tale so absurd, presented with such ludicrous solemnity. Man, I can't read, I guess. That it becomes an unintentional spoof. There was a scene where some dude was like on fire, and he was like shooting a fire extinguisher while he was on fire, and so
Was
he was
he
like
shooting it at himself?
No, he was just like shooting it in the air. That shit was funny.
Either way, I think I may have chosen correctly. Still, I I don't know. It sounds like I had no good choice today.
I would agree. Oh, well, like I said, at least the first half of this movie felt like it was going to be something worthwhile, but then it was just so absurd. Like the way they wrapped it up was not worthwhile. I guess it was just
honestly for me. Like the thing was when I have to stop asking questions after like 3 or 4, and I'm still like, I'm not getting any close. Like it seemed like every question I asked got me further away from the goal of finding something out.
No, I honestly felt like Charlie was gonna win. Going into this, I was like, man, I don't know how I can.
Dude, that's not what I thought. Because if I could have chosen, I easily would have done A Cure for Wellness instead of seeing this bullshit.
Yeah, but I think it was harder to. I don't know, man. This movie was just so. There was. I don't know. It doesn't matter. You won. So
I'm sorry if that makes me a jerk. I apologize.
I mean, there's a lot of things that make you a jerk. This is just probably the tip of the iceberg.
That was for those of you listening at home. That was me resigning myself to being a jerk.
If you're listening anywhere else but at home, then that's not for you.
that was something. It was something else if you aren't at home.
Is there anything else you guys? Do you want to say anything else about this movie? About your movie, Charlie?
I'm good.
I think we've exhausted it all.
All right. Is that all we do on this podcast?
No, we gotta plug our friends.
Correct. We do. Thank you, Jeremy Lamb, for the theme song. Thank you to Three Wise Media for just being a part of our letting us be on your network. There we go.
Yeah.
Go check out
for being a part of us. No, that's not how this works. We are a part of
our
them.
Sexy cousin. Is that what we?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, our Sexy Cousin podcast.
Of course.
Three Wise Media. Go check them out. Also check out their Facebook page, Three Wise Media. Check out our Facebook page, Movie Versus Podcast. Our Twitter. We're also on YouTube on the Three Wise Media YouTube channel.
You know who else I believe is there?
Who else?
Actually, they might have their own.
Who?
Good, Bad, or Bad?
Yeah, they have their own YouTube channel, Good, Bad, or Bad. They do bad movie reviews as well, but they focus on one movie specifically. They don't try to make it sound good.
They do not care.
And it's a lot of fun. Go check them out for sure. Do we have anybody else we want to?
No.
I was gonna say Scott Blackwell.
Thank you, Scott Blackwell,
yes.
for the what is it? What is it
Our
called?
logo?
There we go. It was blinking. I was thinking image. I was just gonna say image.
It is an image. Our logo is a visual image.
Thanks for the image. If you want to get a hold of him, just email us at movieversuspodcast at gmail.com. We'll give you his contact info and all that. Other than that, I guess that's about it. Make sure to stay tuned. We're going to have at least one guest on here within the month. Who
I don't know, and I'm excited.
Just keep those ears wide open. Bye.
Movie Versus is a production of Three Wise Media. For more information, check us out on Facebook.